Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my follow-up haul to a Sephora Ulta haul that I posted about 6 weeks ago, which I will leave linked in the cards as well as down below in case you guys are interested in seeing the original haul video. But essentially I had gotten super lucky and was able to exchange some of my Sephora points for 2 of the like $100 gift cards. So I had money at Sephora to spend, and then I also had Ulta points to redeem, and then on top of that I spent a little bit of money. Whoops. I am on a low buy. It went better in August. Anyway, I did want to follow up with you guys about the products that I hauled in that video, just to kind of let you know my thoughts on each of the items now that I've gotten the chance to use them over the course of the last 6 weeks or so. I definitely have some thoughts on some worked, some didn't. So if you guys are interested in hearing what did and what didn't, then stay tuned. But first, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider doing so before you go. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Without further ado, let's get into the follow-up. Okay, I'm not going to go in any particular order. However, I think in my original haul video I started with things from Ulta, so I will try to do my best to just go from there. So up first I have this Buxom blush in the shade Mykonos, which I already knew that I absolutely loved. I just painted my nails and I don't want to yep, I already ruined them. What a surprise. What a surprise. I swear I give my nails 30 minutes to dry and they still don't dry. Okay, I'm not going to open this. This is one of the Buxom Wanderlust blushes, and I already have this shade that I literally can't speak. I already have this blush in the shade Seychelles, which is my favorite blush in my collection. So I already knew that I really liked the formula, and I just loved, I really do want to swatch this for you guys. I'll just have to repaint my nails, I guess. Frickin' A. Okay, so I already knew I loved the blush formula, and I just, this color just spoke to me. I've used this a couple of times. The formula is very consistent with my thoughts on the Seychelles blush. I love the formula. Now this color I feel like is a little less wearable than Seychelles, which is just like a very neutral nude blush shade. However, I do really like this one specifically for the summer. It's just a beautiful peach toned coral, peachy pink toned coral, and I just think it's beautiful. So very happy with this purchase. An item that was a bit of a letdown was the NARS Hot Nights palette. So in this palette you get a highlight, a bronzer, and then 4 eyeshadow shades. Although, yeah, 4 eyeshadow shades. I was gonna say I tried to use this as a highlight. It didn't really work. This is fine. I will say the bronzer is a little bit darker than I expected it to be, so I have to be a little bit light-handed with it. It's pretty pigmented, which is nice, but it just wasn't exactly like what I wanted it to be. And then I found myself a little bit limited by the 4 shades. I just feel like, I don't know, it's fine. It just didn't turn out to be what I wanted it to be. I'm trying to think about how to describe even what I wanted it to be. Not an all-encompassing palette. I suppose I didn't even think about this, but I could try to use this as a blush if I wanted it to be more of that. But like I said, I was a little bit just surprised by the bronzer. In the pan it looks like it wasn't going to be as intense as it was, and then I feel limited by the eyeshadow shades just because this purple just blends a little bit differently than I expected it to, and I felt limited by the eyeshadow shades. I think if you're just looking for a hot summer nights sort of eyeshadow look within this, you can get a very nice neutral kind of smoldering sort of look from it, which is really nice. But as I was saying, it just isn't exactly what I wanted it to be. When you put these all over your eyes, it just doesn't give quite the pop effect that I'm looking for. I don't really know what I'm trying to say right now. It's not a bad palette, but for $59, probably wouldn't buy it again. I also picked up the Ofra primer. This one is in the Rays of Light, or this is the Rays of Light primer by Ofra. And I gotta say I was very disappointed in this. So this is supposed to be kind of like a bronzing primer, but let me just show you guys. I also did a testing new makeup where I used this, and I said the same thing in there, that it just doesn't feel like it gives a bronze payoff. So as you sort of work this into the skin, I don't feel like it adds, it really doesn't add bronze at all. When I use this, I don't feel like my face looks any darker than it did before I added this, and once it's actually blended out onto my skin. I also feel like this didn't do a whole ton for like longevity of wear within my makeup. So this was $18, which I felt was like more of a fair price, or like I was surprised by the price. I thought it was less than I expected from an Ofra primer, just because they do tend to have higher prices. So I thought the price was good, but I wouldn't purchase it again because I really feel like it really didn't do much at all for the skin. I really wanted to try something from Elsie Cosmetics, so I picked up their Silk Concealer, the Complete Remedy Silk Concealer, and this one has like one of these like flat applicators. This is something that I also tried in that testing new makeup video, and I actually really have been enjoying this. It gives sort of like a cooling effect to the eyes when you apply this, just because it is like a metal flat top applicator, and I really like that. Not that I feel like I ever have like super puffy eyes, but I feel like it does like a little bit of depuffing like while you're putting it on. I have mine in the shade Light, which is pretty light, but also a good shade match for me, like when I'm my normal skin color. Like my self tan is like patchily worn off right now. When I have self tanner on, I feel like this is a little bit too light for me, so I probably could have gone up one shade. I actually feel like this gives more full coverage than I was expecting. It's a super liquidy formula and very, very hydrating. So if you don't like a liquidy formula, I would definitely skip this. But I personally really like a hydrating formula underneath my eyes, and I really enjoy this. I do feel like this is one that will slip and slide around if you don't set it, but it also sets super nicely. So really have been enjoying that concealer. Wanted to toss this in there. So my husband actually ended up purchasing this for me because my daughter ruined some makeup while he was watching her. So he picked this up for me. This is the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette, and I've been thinking about purchasing this for a really long time. The last Naked palette that I have, with the exception of, well, it's not a Naked palette. I do have the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, but the last Naked palette that I purchased, or the only other one that I've ever owned, is the Naked 2, which was one of my first palettes that I ever owned. I don't have it in my collection anymore because that was like a college palette for me. So I do like this palette. I will say I feel like some of the shades are really hit and miss. Like I was expecting, like I don't like this Angel Fire shade at all. I feel like it's very, very chunky, but I do really like Reputation, Burn. There's a couple still that I haven't tested out, but I also really, really like some of the mattes in here. For example, Bucked and Endgame, I really, really do enjoy. I was a little bit let down by Barely Baked. Like it was a fine shade, but it was just fine. So overall I would say like this palette is just fine. I don't feel like you need this. I feel like you can find all of these shades and you can get very similar looks from other palettes that I'm sure you have in your collection if you have any palette that has neutrals in it. But I'm also not mad to have this in my collection. I feel like this would be a really easy one to travel with, especially if you travel for work a lot. I feel like this one's very easy to create work appropriate looks with. So like I said, not mad that I have this, but I don't feel like it's necessarily like a necessity. I think that it's either $49 or $52, so expensive. Like you can probably skip this one, you know. One of my absolute favorites from my entire haul is this Cover FX bronzing duo. I have mine in the lighter of the two. This is in the shade Sun Kissed Bronze. I love this bronzing duo, you guys. It is so, so beautiful. I do feel like the bronzer is a little bit more warm toned, so it's been perfect for the summer. I feel like I'll still try and get away with this in the winter as well, but if you specifically like only like cool tone bronzers, this would probably be a skip. I also really do like to top my bronzer with this like highlighter shade. It's not a highlighter, but it's like a bronzer topper. I think it's beautiful, especially if you are really into like a glowy look. I feel like it just gives this beautiful bronzy glow, and I have been loving this. I also have two of their blush duos, which I have really been enjoying as well. I would probably say if you're going to choose between one or the other, I just really love the bronzing duo. And then the final Ulta item that I picked up was the Tarte Unleashed palette. And I was going to do a dedicated review on this, but it just sort of slipped away from me. Like I even filmed each of the looks that I did with this, and I still didn't get the review up. So this is what the palette looks like. It also came with their new Big Ego mascara, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, would not purchase in a full size. I have used every single shade within this palette, and overall I'm really, really impressed with the quality of this palette. I really have been enjoying it. The only shade that I'll say is like a complete letdown in my opinion is the shade Hawkward right here. I was probably most excited for this shade because it's like this green shimmery shade, and I've been so into green shimmers. Here it is swatched right here, but it's more of like a sheer shimmer, and I wanted it to be like not a sheer, like I wanted it to be something that I could pack on my lid and it would pack a punch and it would be there. But it's just honestly like, it's just like a really sheer satin kind of just like wash of color. Like it doesn't pack a punch at all. So I was really let down by that shade. I've tried this shade multiple times. I've also tried layering this shade with Totally, which was fine, but again, just not my favorite. This camouflage shade right here is a nice like deeper transition shade, but also has like a little bit of micro glitter in this. I notice when I get this onto the lid, I don't notice like that micro glitter. So if you are nervous because you can clearly see the micro glitter within the shade, I don't notice that there's any glitter like on my lid, or it doesn't look like I have any glitter on my lid when I wear that shade. So wanted to point that out. I absolutely love the mauve toned row in this palette. I love that they included this because I love a good mauve toned look. I tried to do a mauve tone look today that kind of turned into more like a mauvey brown tone look, but I didn't use this palette. Anyway, been very impressed by this. I believe this is $39 and it's pretty large. The actual amount of eyeshadow that you get within this palette is the exact same as the Tartelette palettes, but the size of the palette is larger. Also wanted to point out you get this really nice, really large mirror. Really impressed with this palette. Kind of was surprised by it. I wasn't originally planning on picking this up, and then I just decided to, and I'm definitely not mad that I did. Sorry, I had one more product that I got at Ulta. This was one of the Persona lip glosses, and I got mine in the shade Peach. I've really been impressed with this lip gloss. I swear I've liked everything that I've tried from Persona, so highly recommend her lip gloss formula. I know I personally definitely want to pick up more glosses from her, even though I know I 100% don't need any more gloss in my collection. This is really nice. It does offer some opacity, like it definitely offers some color payoff. However, it's not like so opaque that like you have to worry about it sliding or transferring all over your face like you do with some lip glosses. I really do like the shade Peach. I believe I tested this out in my testing new makeup video as well. Not sticky at all. The formula is not sticky. It's super, super comfortable, and I would highly recommend. So then moving over to everything that I picked up from Sephora, honestly, there were no duds for me within my Sephora haul. So let's quickly we'll briefly just run through everything. First up, I picked up the First Aid Beauty Pores Be Gone Matte Primer because I had heard so many people rave about this, even people who had drier skin, which I have dry skin, so I always get really nervous about matte primers. But let me tell you, this feels so hydrating on the skin when using this. Not to a point where like it's so hydrating that I feel like people with oily skin wouldn't like it, but if you have dry skin, it definitely feels hydrating on the skin. It does a really, really nice job of smoothing out the skin without pilling up. I've had no issues with pilling with this, so finally a smoothing primer that doesn't pill. Love, really been loving this. I've never been let down by a First Aid Beauty primer. The Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer is my favorite primer. I say that all the time on my channel, but if you need a smoothing primer, if you're looking for a more mattifying primer, I would highly recommend this. I do feel like this also helps with the longevity of wear for my makeup, so another just like positive of this primer. Honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about this, and if you've been thinking about it, I would highly recommend. I also picked up the Little Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow Duo. I haven't used this a ton, but I've used it enough to know that I like it. I think for $19, if you're looking to try something from Natasha Denona, I wouldn't say to not get this. The only gripe that I really have for this, for my skin tone personally, is that the highlighter is going to be too dark for me unless I am self-tanned or unless I'm naturally tanned. And the bronzer is a little bit more like red/pink toned. This is actually considered a blush. However, I've used it mostly as a bronzer, and I can get away with it as a bronzer. Honestly, on no makeup days, I'll just go in with like a little bit of foundation, and then I'll toss this on, and it gives you like a beautiful warmth to the skin where it looks like you've actually just been out in the sun. It's very natural, and I really like this. I'm not mad at all that I purchased this. Again, $19 for a Natasha Denona product I think is really good. The one other thing that I will say about this is that the pan sizes are a little bit smaller, so when thinking about like getting a bronzing brush in this, it's been a little bit of a challenge. And I think for the most part, like I'll get use out of this side, but not a ton of use out of the highlighter side. So definitely consider that if you're thinking about purchasing this. And if you don't like red tone / pink tone bronzers, this probably is not going to be the product for you, but I have been enjoying this the times that I've used it. I also picked up from Natasha Denona the Sunrise palette. I was so excited when I saw this release. I had to have this, and I am not disappointed at all. This is actually $65 as opposed to our $129 palettes that have the 15 pans. Now the pan sizes are smaller, but you guys, this palette is stunning. I think you can probably create some of the same looks with other less expensive palettes. Yes, I was comparing this to my Huda Coral Obsessions palette, and I think those two are very similar. However, within this palette, you're getting definitely more variety. You're getting almost 2 times the amount of eyeshadows. I love that there's this beautiful like purple shimmery duochrome shade within this. I love this Awakening shade. I think is so beautiful, and overall I've just been really impressed and really enjoying this palette. I also picked up the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer, and I have really been enjoying this as well. This is definitely high coverage, so I'm not wearing this every single day because typically I look for more of a medium coverage concealer when I am going to work. I find that this is not too drying underneath my eyes. I can be a little bit picky with concealers as far as I don't like anything that's drying at all underneath my eyes, and I haven't had issues with this. So if you kind of experience the same feelings or have the same issues with not liking dry concealers, I don't find this to be a dry concealer. I do find that it does feel hydrating underneath the eyes. I love that it comes with a big doe foot applicator similar to that of Tarte Shape Tape or the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I think if I were ranking, I would probably go Too Faced Born This Way, then the Jouer, then the Tarte Shape Tape. But I think it's a good concealer. I forget the price. $22 for this. $22, which I think is a good price because you are getting quite a bit of product. So if you have been considering this, I would definitely recommend checking out. Another one of my favorite purchases from this haul is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist. This was kind of a purchase, like this was kind of like on a whim. Like I wasn't planning to pick this up, but the Ultra Fine Mist kind of piqued my interest, as well as just like a fresh watermelon-y scent for the summertime. And I have got to say, this may be my new favorite, what am I thinking? Setting mist. I don't feel like this makes a difference as far as longevity of wear. It's not going to be like an Urban Decay all-nighter where it's really going to lock in your makeup. However, it's going to give you a beautiful dewy sort of glow without being too dewy. I sometimes can go a little bit heavy-handed with the ABH Dewy Set Setting Spray and the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. Definitely can go too heavy-handed. The Pixie Glow Mist. Glow Mist. But with this, I find it doesn't really matter how much I put on. I don't look like oily, like, you know what I'm saying? If you've used any of those other mists, you probably know what I'm talking about. This is such a nice mist. I'm definitely going to repurchase this when I finish this. I'm so glad I picked this up. Would highly recommend. It is $28 for this, but I do think it's worth it. And then I just have 4 lip products. First, I have from Patrick Ta this lip gloss in the shade Is She Younger Than Me? And if you guys are looking for a dupe for this, it's not necessarily that much cheaper. It's $2 cheaper, but if you have this in your collection, you probably don't need this gloss right here. The Urban Decay Hi-Fi Shine lip gloss in the shade Fireball is pretty much an exact dupe for this. I do like this. I think it's a nice formula. It's a little bit sticky, not too sticky, but definitely stickier than like the Persona Cosmetics lip gloss. And this one does have glitter in it, so it does give like a shine, so it does give an intense shine to the lips. If you don't like glittery glosses, you won't like this, but this is just a really beautiful pink shiny lip gloss, and I have been enjoying this for the summer. And then I picked up 3 of the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea lipsticks when they were half off. I picked up the shade Surfs Up, which is this deeper shade right here, which I'm really excited for this fall. This is my favorite lipstick formula on the market. So I almost picked up like 8, and then I was like, no girl, you're on a low buy. And then I also picked up, I'm also excited for this one for the fall time. This is in the shade 5 O'Clock, which is like this deeper mauve toned shade. And then I picked up a very light lipstick, and this one is in the shade Beach Babe, and I have been loving Beach Babe this summer. I think it is a beautiful nudie, I think it is a beautiful cool toned nude pinky lip, and like I said, I've really been enjoying it. Again, I love the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea lipsticks. So comfortable, so hydrating on the lips. I find that they last a good amount of time on the lips for being a hydrating lipstick, and they're super easy to reapply, and they don't wear away like really weird or patchy. Like they wear away gracefully, if you will. So highly recommend those lipsticks from Tarte. After that, that concludes all of the items that I have to follow up on from that haul. Leave me a comment if you have any further questions that I didn't answer about any of the products. Would be happy to answer for you guys. For the most part, I liked everything that I picked up. There were just a couple of duds in there. Let me know if you've tried the Ofra primer. I feel like a lot of people have tried it and really liked it, but just didn't work out for me. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch this video, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.